You ever walk into a room and know right away you're not really supposed to be seen? That's how this night started a dinner table high above San Francisco. The city sparkling in every direction. But the real heat wasn't coming from the kitchen. It was coming from the power plays, the sideways glances, the things people say when they think you don't understand. Trent didn't even bother to lower his voice. You think she understands a damn word we're saying? He grinned across the table. Derek snorting in reply. Doubt it. But hey, $1 billion buyout for a silent sushi doll? I'll take that deal any day. That's how it all kicked off. This was supposed to be an $800 million dinner, a high-stakes partnership between Valancer, Biotech, and Hoshiko AI, held at the Palisade, a restaurant so exclusive you need an invitation just to ride the elevator up. It should have been a celebration, a merging of tech empires. Instead, it turned into something raw, something ugly, a quiet war fought with silence, prejudice, and the kind of arrogance money tends to breed. At the head of the table sat Kamiko Hayashi. She's a legend in tech, a Japanese billionaire who built Hoshiko AI from nothing but grit and genius. But tonight, she wasn't speaking English. Not because she couldn't, but because she wouldn't. It was her shield, her statement. And slipping through the shadows behind her, barely noticed, was Naomi Bruxa, young black waitress with the grace of a dancer and eyes that missed nothing. Naomi was pouring wine. Sure, but she was also collecting every microaggression, every smirk, every dismissive sweetheart, every time Kamiko was treated like some foreign obstacle to bulldoze. Naomi heard it all. What happened next? It wasn't just a reversal of business fortunes. It was a revolution dressed up as dinner service. Let's rewind for a second. The Palisade wasn't just a restaurant, it was a stage. Marble floors and mahogany walls. Chandeliers dripping down like ice. The private room they booked felt like a bank vault, heavy, silent, full of secrets. Derek Caldwell, CEO of Valancer, sat at one end, broad-shouldered in a suit worth more than most cars, always grinning like he owned the air itself. Next to him, his CFO, Trent Langley Young, sharp, itching to make his mark. These guys were sharks, circling, and across from them, Kamiko, serene and silent in a midnight blue silk dress. Her hair silver and pin neat. No makeup, no jewelry, just presence. Her aide sat behind her, translating in soft tones when needed. But mostly Kamiko just listened. That silence made the men nervous. They couldn't read her. They didn't like it. Then there was Naomi. Her name wasn't on the program. Her job was to be invisible refill. Clear. Step back. But she watched Derek's fake smiles, Trent's bouncing knee, the way they looked right through Kamiko as if she were already conquered. The battle lines were drawn. Only no one realized the real fight wasn't over contracts, but over respect. First toast awkward. Derek lifted his glass to global partnerships, to a future where science knows no borders. Kamiko just nodded. Not a word. Trent leaned in. Was that a yes or just a polite nod? Didn't bother to whisper. Kamiko replied in Japanese to her aide, who translated, a mess. Hayashi appreciates the sentiment. That was the rhythm. Derek with the grand speeches. Kamiko with short replies. Trent getting frustrated. At one point, he snapped his fingers at Naomi. Didn't even look at her. Hey, sweetheart. More of that, Sarah. That sweetheart stung, not the word, but the leash behind it. Later, Trent joked. We could probably just replace her with a chatbot. Might get more interaction. They laughed, thinking they were clever. Naomi saw Kamiko's eyes tighten, but her face stayed calm. They weren't talking to her, they were talking over her. Around her. To them. She was just a signature to acquire. Naomi understood this brand of erasure. She'd spent her life being invisible in all the wrong ways, the only black girl in a classroom. The person who's followed but not welcomed. The interviewee who gets the smile but never the callback. In this room, she was meant to fade into the background, eyes down, hands fast. Never speak unless spoken to. But Naomi's story didn't start here. She'd grown up in Kyoto. Her mom was a diplomat, and the language, the respect, the subtlety of Japanese culture, all that stuck with her. Deep down, she watched Kamiko take each slight in stride, wearing her silence like armor. But as the night dragged on, that armor started to crack. The conversation thinned out. Derek drummed his fingers. Impatient, Trent finally leaned forward. We want to buy your company. Do you understand? He exaggerated each syllable, condescending as hell. Derek piled on. Maybe we should get some flashcards. Naomi felt the anger rise up in her throat. Kamiko blinked slowly. Unfazed, Trent muttered, "This is like negotiating with a bonsai tree." Derek chuckled. Naomi's manager, Foster, caught her eye, whispered, "Don't get involved. Do your job." She nodded. But when Kamiko whispered, "Is there no one here who sees me?" Not to her aide, not to the table, just into the room, Naomi realized this wasn't ignorance. This was the kind of exclusion you sharpen like a knife. She couldn't stand it. For a moment, she hesitated, protocol screaming in her ear, the threat of losing her job. But she moved forward anyway, shoes clicking on the hardwood, the room going quiet as she approached Kamiko. She bowed, deeply, not the fake customer service nod, but a real bow, full of respect. Then, in flawless Japanese, she apologized. "I know I'm not supposed to speak, but silence in the face of disrespect is its own kind of betrayal. If you'll allow me, I can help." The table froze. Kamiko looked at her, really looked, and a new energy filled the space. Naomi announced, in English, that Ms. Hayashi wanted her to translate directly moving forward. Trent laughed nervously. Naomi took the contract Derek slid across, her eyes sharp as she flipped through. "This clause lets Valancer strip her patents without approval," she said. "This non-compete would bar her from teaching, consulting, even speaking in public for 10 years. You're not just buying her company, you're trying to erase her from the field." The men blustered, but their confidence was gone. Then Kamiko's aide pulled out a silver recorder. "Press play." Derek's voice came over the speakers. "Let's cut the incentive clauses. We'll absorb her exec, she'll never know. The translator does the heavy lifting." Trent's laugh. "She's lost in her world. We feed her whatever we want." The audio was damning. Naomi translated for the room, steady as stone. They joked about manipulating the terms. They planned to erase her legacy, banking on her silence. Trent jumped up, shouting about legality. Naomi didn't flinch. "So is fraud," she said. "Cool." Suddenly, her manager stormed in, tried to fire her on the spot. But before he could finish, another voice cut through the tall, calm man in the doorway. "My Jones, Executive Director, North American Innovation Alliance, and Aki Hoshiko partner. I've watched this entire scene. You're not firing Naomi Brooks tonight. She deserves a formal apology." Foster wilted. Derek and Trent sat in stunned silence. My turn to Naomi. "You were the only one here with integrity." And the power in the room shifted. Kamiko spoke softly to Naomi, and I translated, "She'd like to offer you a job with Hoshiko's global team. Full tuition. Any grad program you want. Housing. A real salary. You saw me when no one else did." Naomi could barely breathe. She whispered, "I'd be honored." Kamiko smiled. "Then come with us. We have work to do." Just like that, the locked door of Naomi's life was blown off its hinges. The fallout was quick and merciless. News of the recording leaked. Valancer's board forced Derek out. Trent resigned. Investors bailed. The media had a field day from server to savior. The woman who stopped an $800 million power grab. Naomi and Kamiko were celebrated for speaking up, for not letting silence be mistaken for surrender. In the end, this wasn't just about business. It was about dignity, about what happens when the world assumes silence means weakness. Naomi was never just a waitress. Kamiko was never just a quiet billionaire. Both of them stood in a room that tried to define them by what they didn't say, and by the end, they'd redefined everything. So next time you're tempted to overlook someone, remember, real power doesn't always wear a suit. Sometimes it wears an apron. Sometimes it speaks softly, but when it does, it changes the world. And if you want more stories like this, stories that challenge how we see each other, make sure you subscribe and stick around. Because the quietest voices, they're usually the ones rewriting the ending.